Members of the district, Dr. Hazelton, our councilor, Mr. Joe Garcia. Tonight we are here for the regular meeting for the Linden Board of Education. And before we start, I would like to invite you to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, statement of adequate notice, please.
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as follows. On January 12th and July 13th, notice was sent to the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger, Local Source, and the clerk of the municipality. By state law, there is no smoking permitted in this building at any time. In addition to the listed items in this agenda, this Board of Education may discuss and act upon other items not specifically referred to herein, as is allowed at the regularly scheduled monthly board meeting under the Sunshine Law.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Roll call, please.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Here.
Mrs. Fleming?
Here.
Mr. Gargano? Ms. Gilliam?
Present.
Dr. Berghammer?
Here.
Mrs. Manganello? Mr. Martucci?
Here.
Ms. Thomas?
Present.
Mr. Rivas?
Here. Thank you. At this time, I'm looking for a motion for the approval of minutes.
Motion of approval of minutes.
Second.
There is a motion to approve the minutes for the work session held on September 28, 2021, at the regular meeting held on September 30, 2021, which copies are on the board of the board members. There is a motion on the floor with a second. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam?
Yes.
Dr. Berghammer?
Yes.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes, thank
With
you.
the
Superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Rivas. Good evening, Linden Board of Education, cabinet members, parents, students, and community members. Tonight, I would like to share some very exciting news from the district. Our students, families, and staff had a wonderful time marching in the return of the Linden Halloween Parade this past Sunday. Among our groups who took part were the Linden High School Marching Band, NJROTC, Dance Company, TNT News, the Homecoming King and Queen, Ryan Angeletto and Christina Almada, high school and middle school cheerleaders, and floats from McManus Middle School, School Number 2, School Number 4, School Number 8, and School Number 10. We had two observances in October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month that were both a great success. On October the 20th, we had Tigers Turn Pink Day, where all staff and students were encouraged to wear pink and donate to support the fight. The day was capped off with a photo on the steps of School 8 of breast cancer survivors from around the district. Thank you to School Number 8 and School Number 10, technology teacher Kim Kafelis for spearheading that effort. And on Tuesday, our Linden High School girls volleyball team held their annual Pink Out, where players and fans wore pink and survivors were recognized before the match. Thanks to the team and coaches and everyone who came out to cheer them on. This month was also Principal Appreciation Month, and we wanted to thank all of our school leaders for everything that they do every single day to help our students and staff. We created a video that you can see on our YouTube channel where a student from each school spoke about what makes their principal so special to them. Thank you to all of our school secretaries for helping us put together that surprise without their bosses catching on. A big congratulations to Linden High School freshmen Ashley Agbata Grubbs, Trinity Ellis, and Abigail Armstead, who were awarded a scholarship to study Mandarin Chinese virtually on the weekends through the Huac School of Edison. This wonderful opportunity was facilitated by Linden High School Chinese teacher Lin Hu and funded through the generosity of Bo Wang, the CEO of Wealth House Advisors of Metuchen. Staff at Linden High School took part in a half-day professional development last week to kick off the school's participation in a state program to enhance our restorative justice programs. The aim of the program is to create a more positive culture in our schools and to improve responses to behavioral issues. This is just the first step of Linden High School's participation in a 3-year program with Kane University. Also, congratulations to our communications coordinator, Gary Miller, for winning 2 honors at the 2021 New Jersey School Communication Awards. Gary took home 3rd place awards for electronic newsletter and media relations and human interests. This is the 3rd straight year the district has won multiple honors at the awards ceremony. Congratulations, Mr. Miller. Also this evening, I have 3 presentations that I would like to share with the board. I would like to ask our physical education teacher, Valerie Torriello, to please step forward along with the principal of Seoul Middle School, Ms. Gwen Long. And as they make their way to the podium, I will read this quick background story. Sometimes the word hero is thrown around lightly, but I think in this case it is appropriate. Tonight we honor a teacher whose selflessness prevented what could have been a tragedy on the first day of school. Seoul Middle School teacher Valerie Torriello was outside of the school on opening day when a parent got out of a car but failed to put the car in park. The car started rolling toward a group of 6th graders waiting to go into school. Without hesitation, Ms. Torriello ran around the car while wearing a protective boot on her foot, jumped into the driver's seat, and hit the brakes before a mistake could become a disaster. This act of heroism was caught on camera, so it gained attention in local, state, and even national news media, and deservedly so. This act epitomizes the care that our teachers and support staff show every day for our children, and we want to thank and honor Ms. Torriello for putting the students' safety ahead of her own. She is truly a hero. And if you were able to catch Valerie on, don't tell me, the lady from, what is her name? I forgot.
The Voice.
No, is she from The Voice? She won the competition. What is her name?
Kelly Clarkson.
That's it, Kelly Clarkson. She was on the Kelly Clarkson show. I believe it was October 14th.
Yes.
I can remember the date, but not the show. So on behalf of the Linden Board of Education and all of the students, parents, and citizens of Linden, New Jersey, we would like to present you with this above and beyond. Thank you for your dedication to our students and staff.
Thank you. Right. Take a picture.
Yeah, he actually got the chance before.
Last week, we had the pleasure of meeting with the team from our local United Way. and we had a very spirited and informative and productive conversation on a potential partnership between the Linden Public Schools and the United Way. So at this time, I would like to welcome Mr. James Horn to the podium. He would like to share a few details on a potential partnership between the district and United Way. And thank you very much, sir, for joining us this evening.
Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you, Board and Dr. Hazelton, for your invitation to speak to the Board and the community this evening. My name is James Horn. I'm the president of the United Way of Greater Union County. And as Dr. Hazelton described, last week we had a conversation regarding the work of United Way, potential opportunities for the United Way, and the programs that we run to service Linden school children and their families. So we talked about one of our programs, which we call our Family Support and Prevention Program, where we have case managers that help families navigate situations that are impacting their children's ability to be successful in school, from connecting to healthcare services to mental health services, and ensuring that those referrals to those organizations are followed through and that the service provider is able to provide the services. So we're excited about integrating that in the most immediate way. In addition, as part of that program, we also have some emergency assistance funding. So a family is entitled to a one-time assistance of $750 for rental assistance, utilities assistance, so on and so forth. So we'll be setting up some locations here within the school district as Dr. Hazelton identifies those to provide those services. But I think in the long term, and part of the robust conversation was, what can we do going forward? Is there a way for us to establish programming where the United Way can actually be a part of the Linden School District? And we're going to have some follow-up conversations about what those opportunities could look like. We're committed to strengthening families and children, as you and the superintendent and the school board and the staff are. So we're just excited about the opportunity to do that. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. Look forward to working with you folks in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to ask Mrs. Cleary to introduce our next presenter regarding this is state-mandated data report.
Yes. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I would like to introduce Mr. Dariusz Kondratowicz. He is our Supervisor of Data and Assessment, and every year it is a requirement for us to report out on our state data. Last year we did not have this report because the year prior there was no state testing data because we had gone into COVID. But this past school year, so the 2020-2021 school year, some of our students did take the state test. Those were our ELL students. They took the access test, and some of our special education students who took the DLM, which is the Dynamic Learning Maps test. So as required by the state, Mr. Kondratowicz will report out on the data from those tests. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As Ms. Cleary just stated, I am Derek Kondratowicz. I'm the Supervisor of Data and Assessment. I would like to present to you the data from last year's state assessments. Last year, we did not test language arts and math and science. Instead, the state...
Take the mic, maybe.
Sorry. Instead, the state made a deal with the Department of Education to administer the Star Strong assessment this year, which we did last month. And the results of that should be coming up in the end of November. As far as this presentation, the first item I'm going to discuss is the access test. The exit test is given to the English language learners, of which we have 373, or we had last year 373. This test was only administered to the students that were in person. We had 220 students that were in person that were also ELLs, and all of them participated in this test. This test is really just to gauge what level of proficiency, English proficiency, those students are on. There are 6 levels: entering, emerging, developing, expanding, bridging, and reaching. Usually we try to exit students at about level 4 to 5. That is usually when the students are ready to go on a normal language arts track. It usually takes an entering student about 3 to 4 years to get to that point in our district. Here's a breakdown of the 6 levels from last year's test. As you can see, we have no students at the reaching level because by the time they get to that point, we usually exit them out. There you go. This graph is a little busy, but it breaks down all of our scores by grade. And one thing really the main thing to notice is that our kindergarten levels are mainly at the lower levels when entering the school, and mostly because they come from a native speaking language home and enter our schools. And this data, it's really hard to compare year to year because students enter throughout the year at different levels. And so the comparison between the last 3 years is here, even though one of the years is missing because we didn't administer this test, which is 1920, obviously. But you can see just the trends that are happening over the past 3 years. Most of our students are in the developing stage, which means within the next year or 2, they should be exiting the program. This is not based on the test, but these are our ELL students and their home language breakdown. As you can see, 63.5% of our ELL students are Spanish speaking. Our second main language is Haitian Creole at 13.5%. Polish is at 5.8%. Arabic is at 3.2%, and others are at 14% of our ELL population. In total, we have 18 languages spoken by our ELL students only. So that speaks greatly to the diversity of our great city. The next thing I would like to talk about is the Dlm results. Dlm stands for Dynamic Learning Maps. It is administered to our most needy students, the students that are in our life skill courses that are not able to take the NJSLA. This test is given over a period of few months in their classrooms with their teachers. And the qualifications for this test are disability that impacts intellectual functioning and adaptive behavior, primarily taught using DLM essential elements, requires extensive, repeated, individualized instruction, uses substantially adapted materials, and students' disability will impact post-school outcomes. There are 4 levels to this test: emerging, approaching the target, at target, and advanced. We also break them down and break those students down into 2 categories: in district and out of district. Again, this test was only administered to the students that were in person, so our virtual students did not take this test. We had last year 33 students in district out of 19 out of the 33 took this assessment, and there were 22 students in out of district placement, and 17 out of those 22 took the exam. Here's a breakdown of how our students performed in district. The green is emerging, so that's the lowest level. That's at 58% for math, 53% for language arts, and 100% for science. Approaching at 26% and 21% for language for math and language arts, 16 and 26 for at target, and we had no students at advanced. Out of district students, It's a very similar breakdown, with only exception having one student in the advanced column in the language arts and one student in the approaching in science. And that will be it. Next year I'll have a lot more. Any questions?
Yeah, how many students with disability we have?
1,044.
So this is not all of our classified students. This is just the students that qualified for the DLM exam. So we have 33 in district and 22 out of district placements, so 55 in total.
I don't understand. We have 1,044, Special
Students
needs.
classified as
and
special
then
ed.
of that, you said 33.
Only 55 qualify for the dynamic learning map assessment.
Is it because of their level of disability?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay. And another question I wanted to ask is about demographics. You said 6 of the 62,400 students we have, you said 63% of them speak Spanish.
No, this is just the ELL population. Only our students that are in the ESL program. So there are 372 students that are in the ESL program. Of those, I believe 63.5% speak Spanish.
And then the second is the Creole.
Correct.
And then we have 18 different languages we speak.
So we have second is Creole, third is Polish, fourth is Arabic, and after that, the percentages are under 2% for the other 14 languages.
Are they tested, is their test scores weighted, some of them if English, or
It's all in English.
okay.
There is a Spanish version, but that's very rare, and that's only for mathematics.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Can you email us a copy of this?
Yeah, this is actually posted on the website,
Okay.
but I'll gladly email it to you as well. Certainly. On the website, I'm sorry, the Linden PS website, there's under departments, there's an assessment tab. So under assessment, that's where all of our district-wide assessments are, the presentations, any dates that are coming up as far as assessments, PSATs were announced on there, the SAT dates, and anything like that.
Will you mind if you go over this slide, exactly that slide again?
This slide right here?
That one over there.
So this is just a 3-year comparison, and again, it's really hard to compare this data because of how transient our district is, and the students coming in at many different levels. I think that just the overall picture that we want to see here is that most of our students throughout the years have been at level 3, and then by the time they get to level 5, they exit the program. That's really the main picture to take out of this, is that we do a very good job exiting or preparing our students for being successful in a regular English course, and we exit them within 3 or 4 years. We have been known to be very, very good at that.
And the difference of the year is the green. What I cannot see correctly.
Yeah,
so what's the green, what's the blue, and what's the yellow?
The green is 2017-18, 2018-2019 is blue, and then we had to skip a year because of COVID, and then 2020-21 is the yellow.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
What's the tall one?
I'm sorry?
Highest one. What is that for?
The highest one is this year or last year's.
The middle one, you said
Yes.
it's so high up. Why is it so high compared to the rest?
So this is level 3, which is a developing level of language. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that the students are better at level 5 than level 1. It's just their language acquisition is higher at level 5 as opposed to level 1. However, we can have an influx of students that come in at level 1, and that just would make a higher bar for that year. But it just means that most of our students that are current, or at least 40.5% of the students that are in the district currently, are in that halfway point to being English proficient.
And why we have that little one at the end?
The little one at the end, that's level 5.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's so little is because we tried to exit our students after level 4. So after level 4, they're given another assessment just to make sure that the students are ready for English. So they exit the English language ESL program.
In level
And,
4.
and then they would not be included in this data anymore.
I now understand it. I didn't before.
I have a question
Sure.
for you. With our elementary students, right, how does this apply to them? And what are the classifications? Is it ELL and bilingual? Do we have another, group that we have for, so for example, I know that if a student speaks Spanish, they'll go into a particular class, but then let's say if they speak Arabic, would they go into the same class as the Spanish speaker, or would they go into a general ed classroom?
I can't speak to that necessarily because that would be Mr. Lamastra's, but my understanding is that they would be in the same class.
Thank you.
Yes, English language learners and the teachers who teach them don't necessarily speak the home language,
Okay.
but they are trained to educate English language learners.
Okay. Thank you.
Speaking from experience, I was an ESL student here in district,
Oh.
and we had students from all over the world in our class, so it's the best way to learn.
Thank you.
And we'll send home a copy of this presentation to the board. And if you have additional questions, we'll have Derek or either Kevin Lamastra or Dr. Stefanik follow up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, thank you to all of our presenters and Mr. Board President, Mr. Rivas. That concludes my superintendent's report for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Hazelton.
You're welcome.
Continue with the agenda. We're going to move to education report. Dr. Benhammer?
The Education Committee, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of School and the Assistant Superintendent, present the following motion to the Linden Board of Education for approval. One through 34.
There's a motion on the floor. Can I get a second? There's a motion on the floor with a second. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Gargano?
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam?
Yes to all abstain on number 9, please.
Dr. Berghammer?
Yes, I will abstain on number 1, 4 in roads up.
What was the last one?
Abstain on 1, 4 multiple impaired.
And that's all?
Yeah, that's all I would
Okay,
abstain
thank
on.
you.
Yes.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes, abstain number 9.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes. Finance report. Oh,
Personnel.
sorry, I skipped it up. Personnel report.
The Personnel Committee, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, present the following motion to the Linden Board of Education for approval. All appointments and reappointments are contingent upon and may be modified based on student participation. We bring before the board amendment 1 through 53 for approval.
There's a motion on the floor with a second.
Who's second? Oh.
At this time, with a motion on the floor with a second, there is also the opportunity for discussion. If there's any discussion. If there's no discussion, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Gargano?
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam?
Yes.
Dr. Berghammer?
Yes.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes. Finance report. Now it's finance report.
Finance Committee, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Business Administrator Board Secretary, present the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. Items 1 through 15.
I second.
With a motion on the floor with the finance report being second, I'd like to open up for any discussion, if there's any discussion of this motion. With no discussions, I'm going to ask Madam Secretary for a roll call.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Gargano?
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam?
Yes.
Dr. Berghammer?
Yes.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes. Buildings and grounds. Grounds and security, I'm sorry.
The Buildings and Grounds and Security Committee, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Business Administrator Board Secretary, present the following motions for the Linden Board of Education for approval. Number 1 through number 8. Give me 1 second. I think we had a question, and I don't know if we amended the tricky tray that they, I believe it was in number 4, the Friday tricky tray interfering with the.
Still the same.
I believe they
Still the
changed the
same?
time.
They changed, no, the time is still the same also.
Mr. De La Cruz, it was a typo on Tuesday. It was supposed to be April 1st, not April 2nd, so it's a different day than the high schools.
Okay, copy that. So I'll look for a motion for a second from 1 through 8.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor being second. Is any discussion regarding this motion on the floor?
I have a question.
Yes.
You said it was changed to April 1st from April 2nd?
No,
So it's
it was a typo on Tuesday. So it was, I think on Tuesday it said April 2nd, and then there was a question that it was on the same night as the high school. And when they checked it today, it should have been April 1st. Their setup and their tricky tray was all in one day.
So it's not the same as the high school any longer?
No, the high school is April 2nd.
All right.
And this is April
Thank you.
1st.
We're in the same discussion. Can I get more information on item number 8? I think it's in bold. Maybe something that we may have not prior discussed on the work session.
Oh, that came up today because there's rain forecast for Saturday. So they wanted to put a rain date in for Sunday in case they couldn't hold it on Saturday.
So Sunday is the 31st. Thank you for the clarification. Any additional discussions regarding this business ground security report? With no discussion, no further discussion, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Gargano?
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam?
Yes.
Dr. Berghammer?
Yes.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes. We'll continue with planning and policy report.
The Planning and Policy Committee, upon recommendation of the Superintendent and the Assistant Superintendent, present the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval for the second reading of number 1. So we have the Title IX, sex-based discrimination, school meal program arrears, face coverings, and the vaccination and testing policies. I'm asking for a second.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor for planning and policy report being second. Any discussion in this particular motion at this time? With no discussion, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Gargano?
Abstain to 514110 and 514111. Yes to the other two.
Ms. Gilliam?
Yes.
Dr. Berghammer?
Yes.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes. Okay. Well, at this time, we're going to move forward with the agenda, and we're going to discuss new and unfinished business. And I open the floor for any board member who would like to bring any type of old business or new business that we want to discuss tonight.
I would like to discuss about the facility repairs as new business, unfinished business, and also request for an individual auditor to audit us for the last 5 years and see about the monies that we can get to start the repairs where we need repairs in our buildings.
Mr. De La Cruz brought up no business to discussion, or all business to discussion, as we've been dealing with talking about the facilities over school since last meeting. Any board member would like to make a comment or would like to discuss what Mr. De La Cruz is bringing up to the table?
I have a question. It's pertaining to the audit. If I'm not mistaken, Mrs. Gaylord, don't we have that already?
Yes, we do. We have an auditor. An auditor doesn't really get information for facilities. They just audit the money.
Okay, thank you.
You have an auditor, right? Just like, you have an attorney in a contract, and they're used on an as-needed basis. If the board so desires, they can always go out for bid on another auditor. There's nothing that prevents you from doing that if that's what you want to do.
Thank you. Any other comments for any board members regarding facilities, our facilities at the schools? That's the topic in question.
We could make a comment.
Yes, of course, yes. We are discussing the
about
item.
needing some work in the facilities if you go into this bathroom, only because I was shown, thank you, by the way, that if you go into the restrooms here, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Not in the middle, hopefully at the end. However, it's still here. There's urine all in the bathroom. Tuesday night, I don't even know what it looks like any other time because we're only here twice a month. However, listening to Mr. De La Cruz, his report after walking through the schools, we obviously need maintenance. And we did discuss that the maintenance supervisor would be here next meeting, and we would get answers about how, why, when, that they do, I'm sorry, I lost myself. Like work orders, yes, thank you. So we all know that there needs to be work done. We're aware of that, and we need to get an auditor to find money. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
To find money. Then we need to get an auditor to find money to make repairs, absolutely. For the safety, always safety first, always.
Any other comments?
Well, I have a question to ask. In the last meeting, I heard, I think a parent came up and expressed concern about the toilets in the bathrooms. On our Tuesday meeting, I also heard another member of the public mention in the high school there was only one bathroom.
Yes.
I want to know what is going on for a population of 1,600 students. How could we only have one functioning bathroom?
And I text the principal of the high school that evening, and the next morning she said she would reach out to the community member who made that comment, and she assured me that there is more than one bathroom open at the high school. I've been to the high school on a variety of occasions this last week, and the bathrooms are open. So I don't know if the community member was talking about, I don't know which date and time. However, she did call you, Yelena Hore, the principal did call the community member and shared with her that the bathrooms are that they are open, more than one.
But this is the second, this, if you hear it just once, then you may have doubt. But in the last meeting, it came up again.
Tuesday,
So in
yes.
two last month.
Last month.
Yes, last month there
it
were
came
issues
up,
with the bathroom.
And this month it came up where we're still having issues with the bathrooms in the high school.
Yes.
So the question is, I would hope we all board members and members of the public, we don't have to go through a third board meeting where the public is talking about the bathrooms are not functioning for all students, staff, and facilities.
I agree, yes, but I did follow up, and she assured me that the bathrooms were open. I don't know if you want to...
Dr. Berghammer, I could also say that I asked my daughter, okay, last meeting, she told me there was a sign to proceed down to the first floor. She took a picture. She showed me the picture. Okay, we addressed that, and I asked her again. And as of the day before we came back, as a matter of fact, this past Tuesday, she told me, Daddy, the bathrooms are back up. On Tuesday when I came, we heard that. I went back to my daughter because she's there, and I asked her again. She did tell me, Daddy, the bathrooms are open. She hasn't had a problem ever since that first meeting. So I don't know what transpired at this point, but it's been addressed again. So if my daughter tells me again, I will go to Dr. Hazelton again and ask her what's going on with the bathrooms.
Dr. Hazelton, how many restrooms do we have at the high school?
I would
There's like
have to
should
defer.
be like 2 or 3 on each
I
floor.
don't know.
Do you know if any of them are closed?
I'll follow up and find out if
Okay.
any are. I'll follow up.
It is a valid
Yeah, how many
concern.
bathrooms, Ms. Clay, you were a former
I'm
principal.
going through my head. 8 hallways, locker rooms have bathrooms, bathrooms at the front office, so, I mean, including locker rooms and everything, probably about a dozen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you know of any that are closed?
I'll ask Ms. Horry. I'll send her.
I was told that they were all open as well.
The ratio of the bathrooms is something that is regulated by the Department of Education according to the population of our schools. Is that correct?
I don't know what the ratio, I don't know if there is a ratio for bathrooms to students.
The ratio is done when the schools are built, based on the square footage of the building.
So would it be fair for me to ask if the ratio that we have in the bathrooms is the ratio that the school was open 100 years ago?
That I don't know that.
All right. Let's start doing some action items out of this conversation, because it's important to get this information. And not only Mr. De La Cruz, but myself also had an opportunity to walk to some school, and I got very disappointed with the conditions of some of the schools. But I have a question. My question will be to the district is how much money have we budgeted for school repairs in the last 5 years? Or at least in the last year?
I would have to, I can answer now.
Yeah, if anybody had the answer, I don't know if...
I'll get the information to you.
Okay, and the reason that I ask is because I remember on February or March of this year, when I was still not holding this chair, and I was still a board member like all my colleagues here, and I was placed on the Buildings and Grounds committee together with Mr. De La Cruz. I still remember the day. We were showed a book this thick of what was supposed to be a 5-year plan for repairs of schools. That I think I am going to say something that it might be incorrect, but I think we were told that it was expired, or that was the last 5 years, and it has to be renewed or something like that, but it was not budgeted. I believe with Mr. De La Cruz at that time, we asked, why is it not money for this? And the conversation never continued, to be quite honest. It was the year of COVID, and many other things came into place. That is not an excuse for me or for anybody else not to continue the conversation of the repairs of the school. But it's important to know that we budget money for everything. And for something very important, that is to keep our students and our teachers in great conditions areas so they can give education and receive education is something that we may be failing. And I want to say to this board, we may be failing or have been failing throughout the year to pay attention to. And this is something that we need to pay clear and very much attention. This is not the first time we're discussing this particular point. We have been brought up this particular conversation since last month when we heard from the community about situations happening in the bathrooms, not just necessarily in the high school, in other schools. It's good to have internal members in school. I do have also children in school, not in the high school, but in other schools, and I get information as well. Now, kids, adults, as the communication passes from one person to another, many things have happened, but I had the opportunity to witness it. And it's really, really disappointing what I have seen in many schools. I don't know what the current process is for fixing our schools. I understand that we have agreed that the supervisor of maintenance will be here with us next month to explain it, but we cannot wait. We need to start fixing our schools. We need to start finding some money to fix our school. But before we can say that, I don't think that any one of these board members, including myself, we know the financial status of our board for the last 5 years. So therefore, Mr. De La Cruz, your request doesn't seem to be outrageous. Your request needs to be a great request. We need to make sure that we get that information. And I understand we have an auditor that look at our finances. I understand that our auditor will be giving us a report next year. I got that auditor report last year, as I remember, as a board member. Many of you not here. It took it 5 minutes. 5 minutes to give us a report. The auditor left, and we board members, including myself, didn't have that many answers to ask a question for him. And the reason that that has been is because many of us do not know what is it that the auditor is telling us. Many of the board members could have told me you could have made your own investigation. Many of the board members could tell me you could have done your own research. Well, I'm sorry to say the research that we can do is also the responsibility of the people who come here and present to us to provide it to us and to explain us to us in details what we needed to know. So we're looking forward for the next month's auditor report to find out what is the status of our finances. But I want to go more. I want to support you, Mr. De La Cruz. And tonight, I want to make a motion to request for proposal. Is that the correct? I always get confused. RFQ, RFP. I always get confused. What is the right term that we use in the board?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen boards use it both ways. I look at it as request for qualifications.
Request for qualification or for proposals.
The board does it that way, but
we do RFPs.
RFPs. Okay, so I like to motion. I like to really place a motion here on this floor tonight for an RFP to hire an independent auditor to come in and look at our finances for the 5 years and show us how is it that we were not able to find money to fix our schools. I respectfully ask for a second.
I second.
There is a motion on the floor with a second. I'm going to allow for discussion if there's any discussion about this motion.
I believe that not only should we get an audit, but also we need to have inspections of each facility. We need to have, when was the last time we have fire inspections? When do we have structural or maintenance inspections? Like different inspections, not just fire, which I'm sure we have because we're a school, right? We get fire inspections.
In order to open, yes.
In order to open. But do we do maintenance inspections? Is there a checks and balances? Is there checks and balances, inspections for cleanliness? Does somebody go around? Is this something that the maintenance takes care of? Or do we have janitorial people that we bring in? I'm not actually sure. I don't know the answer to that.
So at the beginning of each school year, and this is only the second school year, and yes, last year, even during COVID, when we brought students back, I toured the schools with Mr. Miranda to inspect whether or not they were ready to open. When I walk through school buildings, which I do every week, I walk with the principal. And if I see something, I take a picture and I immediately email it to Mr. Miranda. I have done that when I've been on the walks with Mr. De La Cruz, and even when I go alone. Last month when I co-taught here, I noticed a big hole in the wall that was distracting even to me. Took a picture of it, and they started repairing it immediately.
What's the follow-up?
What's the follow-up?
Of all of the pictures or all of the work orders, or I call
go
them
back
work orders.
and see if it's been done. Is that?
Yeah.
I can admit not all, a few, and he'll let me know whether or not it has been taken care of, or he'll give me a timeline. For example, someone sent me information about a bathroom at school number 5 where the toilet wasn't working. So I sent that information to Mr. Miranda, and he informed me that the order for a new toilet and the pipes that go along with it, that was ordered 2 weeks ago. So when something is brought to my attention, I jump on it immediately. However, I have spoken to our principals. Principals are the leaders of their building. They should be walking with their custodians on a daily basis. And if there's something that needs to be repaired or something is amiss, then work orders need to be put into place. In addition, I also receive emails from principals if something has been delayed. And I will forward that also to Mr. Miranda to get a follow-up. As you all know, and it's been documented in the media, there is a backlog on items because of the supply chain. That was the problem with School 10 and us getting their bathrooms up and running prior to the start of school. I believe it took maybe 2 additional weeks because the parts were just on back order, something completely out of our control. But I'm happy to say that School 10, all of their bathrooms are open. And also Mrs. Horay from the high school, she did respond to my request. She said all bathrooms are open. That she just sent me that 5 minutes ago. They are open. If you like, I will go there tomorrow morning and I will take pictures of all the bathrooms.
Well, the reason that I bring it up is because if we're going to have an audit, then we're going to know what kind of monetary allotment that we would have to spend, and we might even already know that. However, if we do an inspection and we name the things that needs to be fixed, prioritize those things, and then put a dollar amount to those things, we can know what should we fix first. Should we fix the floor in the gym first before we fix a bathroom? I mean, you know, those kind of prioritizations right there need to be looked at and need to be looked at carefully, because the health and safety of the children should always come first. I think we all agree on that.
Oh, I'll add to...
Not that we're not going to fix the floor in the gym. I'm just throwing that out for an example.
I'll add to it. On Tuesday, we were here in a meeting, and it was pouring outside, and we had a garbage can collecting water right over here. So for me, that's a safety concern because if the kids are in gyms...
Also a fire hazard, actually, because it's right above an electrical light here. That might be a hazard.
So
I'm not a fireman, but...
I know.
Dr. Hazelton, I have a question for the district.
Yes.
What Ms. Fleming brought up is something really important in regards of who does the assessments of the schools. I believe our supervisor of maintenance does the assessments of the things that needs repair in the school. If we've been hearing that our schools need repairs, if we've been witnessing that our schools need repair, who's the supervisor for Mr. Miranda?
I am.
Who supervised Mr. Miranda to find out that Mr. Miranda is doing his job?
I am.
You are.
Yep.
So,
and I walk with him. And also remember, School 4 was heavily damaged by Hurricane Ida. And there are problems. These are old buildings, and our maintenance team, they're on top of it. The repairs that they were able to turn around in a short period of time at School 4, they should be commended for. I understand the concerns, but I would also like to mention just the high notes. Hurricane Ida destroyed 4 to 6 classrooms in School 4.
2 wings.
right before the opening of school. So I know a lot of time and resources were dedicated to get that school online. And I'll give it back to you, but Mrs. Horay is here from the high school. Were you near? Or did you come from home? Yeah, so if you have any additional questions on the bathrooms at the high school, she is here in the audience.
Ms. Jorge, how many restrooms do we have at the high school?
Could you come to the podium?
Please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It is so nice to have a principal here. I
Happy
hope we could get
Principal
them all
Appreciation
here.
Month.
It is my pleasure to be here. It is senior night. It was our soccer game today, so I came from our soccer game and celebrating our phenomenal soccer team at the high school, so it was a pleasure to be there as well. We did try for a while to have just some bathrooms that were monitored by staff open. As I said, I was very flexible. I wanted to see if that would work. When I found that there were some lines, we reverted. So we try things and we see if it works, and if it doesn't, then we go back to a different direction.
How long did you have the bathrooms closed?
Well, again, when the bathrooms were closed, there was a bathroom open on every floor. So the first floor bathrooms were always open, second floor bathrooms were always open. So there's 2 sets. There's the second floor bathrooms, and then there's also another set of gender neutral bathrooms. There were 3 out by the front. And then the only bathrooms that were occasionally closed during the lunch periods were 2 bathrooms on the 3rd floor, the boys and girls bathroom on the 3rd floor. And only during the lunch periods when we were so short-staffed that we didn't have any coverage. But we opened them. So we probably closed the 3rd floor bathroom for maybe 2 weeks, maybe if that. Well, we were judging and seeing how things were working. And again, not always. It would depend on the period and if we had coverage for it or not.
We're not trying to attack you. I just want to throw that out there. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. We're just asking questions so that we can get answers, so that we can have, so when we're asked questions, we
not
can
at all. So
represent
my purpose is always, first and foremost, is to keep our schools and our students safe. So not only, primarily with COVID for contact tracing to make sure that there aren't too many students in there, that we know the students that are in there. So for that purpose, I thought it was really important to make sure to have monitors outside of the bathroom. Unfortunately, we don't have enough substitutes. We don't have enough personnel to do that and open every single bathroom. So we said, let's try to monitor it and close just the 3rd floor, only the 3rd floor bathrooms during lunch times, and, so that every other bathroom was open. It became a little bit of an issue. It seemed like kids were kind of backing up a little bit. So we said, we're going to open them all. We still are trying to get the students to use the bathrooms that are monitored, but if they can't, then they go to another bathroom.
So I would just like to clarify. You closed the bathrooms on the 3rd floor, one, because you didn't have staff to watch it. We did have a thing on TikTok where they were destroying the restrooms. Is that part of why you closed it? Or
that wasn't the primary reason. It's always about the safety and security completely for the schools. So all of that comes into play. Of course, it's all of those things that we don't want happening in a bathroom that's not monitored. That's all part of it. Primarily, we wanted to monitor and make sure that we had the appropriate number of students in that bathroom, that it didn't exceed what was safe, given COVID regulations and all of that.
So just because you said with the COVID regulations, do you believe that it's safer to have fewer bathrooms with COVID and more people using fewer bathrooms throughout COVID? Or do you believe that it to be safer for there to be more bathrooms?
Well,
that
it would be great to have
use?
both, right? So it would be great to have every bathroom, more bathrooms with monitors. Because if you have a bathroom and you have 9 kids in a bathroom that are in close contact, that's not a safe situation. If you have a monitor and they're monitoring it, and so you have 2 stalls and 2 sinks and you have 4 kids, then we know that we're using that bathroom in a safe forum.
Do you have enough people to monitor the bathrooms now?
We don't have enough people to monitor the 3rd floor bathrooms.
How many more employees do you need to help monitor the bathrooms, and what would those employees be called?
Aides would be great. We could have aides that could monitor bathrooms. That would be wonderful.
And how many?
I mean, we could use many, but we could use four.
Just specifically for the
Four.
bathrooms.
We could use four.
4. Do you have any bathrooms that are closed?
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Horry. Appreciate your time.
Ms. Horry.
What's that?
How many bathrooms do we have at the high school? How many stalls?
How many stalls? I would have to, I don't know that number offhand, how many stalls. I will tell you that there is no issue. I will tell you that there's no lines for the bathrooms. There's no current issue. We have sufficient bathrooms to accommodate our students.
So you wouldn't be able to tell us how many stalls it would be?
I don't know offhand.
Just on one floor.
I don't know offhand. Like, for example, let's say the second floor, the girls' bathroom, I believe, has, I'm just kind of guessing. I don't know exactly. I want to say 3 or 4, maybe 3 stalls in that bathroom. And
the boys would have hopefully the same.
I would assume that the boys have about the same. And then we have the gender-neutral bathrooms that are across from the office as well. And those are single stalls, and so that's an additional 3.
Ms. Horry, good evening. How are you doing today? First and foremost, thank you for answering our questions. We were not planning to do that, and I'd like to thank you again for volunteering to answer a question.
Thank you.
Before your arrival, we were discussing the fact that our schools needs repairs, and we having the conversation of the bathrooms. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, if you don't mind me asking for you. The first question is, do we have a bathroom problem at the high school?
No.
Do you need more bathrooms based on the amount of students that the high school building hosts?
No.
Okay, and the reason that I ask that is because I just learned that we built these bathrooms with the schools many years ago. Perhaps we haven't even gone through any type of ratio of students or ratio of bathrooms as we need. And I know that the Department of Education calls for ratios of bathroom versus the amount of students that there are in every particular building.
Yeah.
And the third question that I ask is, those use high school needs repairs in any type of shape or form that you are being aware of?
Of course. I mean, I think all our buildings are old buildings, so there's always repairs, that need to be addressed and need to be handled. So, yeah, of course.
Right. Thank you.
I just have one more question. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Can you give us a timeline of when the bathrooms are cleaned?
Clean?
Sanitized.
Well, the bathrooms are cleaned every, at night, obviously, everything is cleaned. The other thing that we do normally is throughout the day as well, we do bathrooms checks. And so there's upkeep of the bathrooms throughout the day.
Is that always been the practice, is to clean the bathrooms at night?
Always been the practice to clean the bathrooms at night, but we also do checks during the day. And so occasionally when a bathroom is not in use, you close the bathroom, or if a bathroom is in disrepair, we close the bathroom and clean it for students. And my policy has been with my students as well, if they walk into a bathroom and there's an issue in the bathroom, that they should come and report it, and we'll immediately get somebody in there to clean it.
So I just want to ask this question because I know there are people wanting me to ask this question.
Sure.
Is it business as usual through COVID, or do you expand the cleaning of the restrooms because of COVID?
I think that everyone has had a more intense view of cleaning due to COVID in all areas. So yeah, I think that is something that is predominant in our minds. I think that we've always cared about bathroom cleanliness and about our school cleanliness. Our head custodian is Leighton Sams. He does a really great job for our kids, and we have a good team, and we're supported. We do have almost, over 1,700 students that are using the facility, so it's a lot of use.
That's a lot of bathroom usage.
That's a lot of bathroom usage. That was my concern about the ratio.
And also something I forgot to mention, Rob, earlier this week, I meet monthly with the LEA's superintendent's liaison. So they send me a list of concerns, and the majority of those concerns are around work orders and things that need to be repaired in classrooms. And when he sends me the list, I send it to Mr. Miranda. He answers the questions, gives me a timeline, and then that information is shared with the union. And this meeting just happened with us this past Monday. So before Elena walked in, your question was who supervises Mr. Miranda, and that is part of the supervision where the union gives me a list of their concerns around maintenance. I forward it to him, he responds, and then I meet with the union representatives.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Horry.
Thank you.
Ms. Horry,
My
thank you.
pleasure. Thank you very much.
I just want to keep adding on the situation. Dr. Hazelton, my concern is not necessarily with Mr. Miranda. Honestly, my concern is not against Mr. Miranda. My concern is about the needs of our schools needing repair and how do we prioritize the needs of our schools. And if we do we have the money to do so? I am going to speak for myself only. I can't never speak for the board. But I had an opportunity to visit schools, and in one school, I went through a gym. It was a hole a concrete hole, and I was able to pick up a piece of rock from that part of it with children on the gym, small children. They don't know well. They can get that and think it is a baseball, and they can hit somebody, and there is a damage. I went to another school who had received new equipment, and I had an opportunity to chat with the what's the name of the custodian. And the custodian gave me information that it was really concerning to me. And again, I can't take the comment of one person or one item or one thing to come here and say, there is a problem. But throughout the walks, throughout the experience that Mr. De La Cruz and I have had, knowing that we didn't have a budget for repairs for a 5-year plan that was presented to us in February or March, and knowing that we have found money for everything else, we're getting money for a lot of things, and I know there is biggest concerns right now. I think the safety and security of the children and the safety of our premises are also important. I think that we need to pay close attention to that, and I have only been a board member this is my 2nd year, but I want to know in the last 5 years what have been done. Because not only this board, but previous board, if they didn't pay attention to what a school needs, it's a shame. And we need to start somewhere. So I made a motion to immediately find an auditor to review our finances for the last 5 years to understand why we would not be able to make a budget for this. It is a second. I put it for discussion. If there is no more discussion, I'm going to ask for a vote.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Rivas, we discussed the 5-year plan, okay? And I guess I wasn't clear as to what the purpose of a 5-year plan is. It's to go through the buildings and set the priorities. We have a budget with a 2% cap. We are not allowed to go beyond the 2% cap. So we budget in our budget every year up to the 2% cap, absent the last 3 years, which we were mandated by the city to have a zero tax increase. So when you have a zero tax increase and you're not allowed to budget for things, how do you want us to pay for them? It's not about the money. It's not about not having the money or not budgeting the money or not doing the repairs. When we're done here, I'd like you to walk down the hall and look at the new bathrooms that were just installed. We have a bathroom plan. We have been renovating bathrooms in every building over the last 5 years. Mrs. Horry still here? Yes. No? Well, all the bathrooms at the high school have been renovated. Seoul, Ms. Long is there. We've put all new bathrooms in Seoul. These are old buildings. We have a plan. There's only so much you can do. Things come up every day. But this is not about any of this. And I'll just defer to the rest of my comments to you personally.
Thank you.
Rather than publicly embarrass you.
And while you make the comments, I don't think this has anything to do with raising taxes. While you make the comments, I don't think it has nothing to do with us not being able to having our tax raised for the 3 years. This has to do with our responsibility for our children to make sure that our schools doesn't have that leak, to make sure that our schools do not have a holes in the wall that I can hit somebody, with the responsibility that our schools have decent premises for our children and for our students to be teach and for teachers to teach. Nothing to do with the 2-year plan, because I got to tell you that without knowing the specific of our accountings, because I don't know them, and that's the reason why I want an independent auditor, okay, I cannot comment about it. But I can assure you that year over year we have money that we have saved in budgets. And instead of putting them back in many different things that we may have done so, we could have used that money to fix our school.
We do use
that
it.
Is something
we put
that
it into
I could
capital
do.
reserve. Every year there's a resolution to put the surplus into capital reserve. And
So-
we have used the capital reserve money to fix the facilities because that's the only thing we're allowed to use it for.
So as you said, it has been placed in capital reserves. I want to really bring back to previous board members why we have not used money of a capital reserve to use of school.
Because the capital reserve right now was waiting for it to
Not
get
about right now.
Mr.
It's about
Rivas,
5
let me
years.
finish. If you're going to criticize me, at least let me defend it.
Ms.
The
Gaylor,
capital
I didn't
reserve
criticize
account
you.
has been reserved for the academy project. So we would pay full out of the capital reserve and not have to borrow any money.
Ms. Gaylor, I didn't criticize you. I just commenting based on what you provide, the information that you provided. I was not even addressing you before or anything like that. I was being general. Okay, I just answering to the comments that you made. And regardless if we have capital reserve for one project or another, no one is special not to leave the rest of the kids without maintenance being done and repairs to being done. And that is a failure on our maintenance group, and that is a failure of our schools not kept correctly for our children. I cannot speak for any other years than the year that I'm in this year and the year that these board members are here. I cannot know it. I cannot comment about it. That's the reason that I'm going to be looking for an independent auditor to tell me this is where the money was, this is where the money has been, this is where the money was used to, in order for me to have a better understanding on why in the last 5 years, with a 5-year plan that was presented that it was bigger than this book, nothing has been done.
I would like to say something.
Yes, yes.
I have a comment and a question. So the first one is, I would like to know what is our stance on the academy, because the last time I was told it did not get approved. So are we able to move forward with that? Did the city approve that this time around, or?
The city denied the application basically because the committee did not have clear guidance as to what they were voting on. There was a meeting yesterday with the city zoning people and some of the people from the city regarding the fact that it was voted no. We reapplied an application, and there's going to be a special meeting in November, and they assured us that it would be approved.
Okay, so maybe by our next board meeting, we'll have a definite answer to move forward.
No, we won't, because it's not till the 22nd, and our board meeting is the 16th and the 18th.
Okay. Then I just wanted to say I understand the concerns, and that I know that our buildings are old. And I know that there is definitely changes that needs to be made. From what I can remember, I can't remember all. However, this gym has been recently renovated. School 1's gym has been recently renovated. The Linden High School library has been recently renovated. The guidance office, because it was the ceilings were disgusting, they were also recently renovated. We have to keep into account the fact that we were or still experiencing a pandemic. So the schools were closed. People weren't really working other than our custodian staff trying to do their best. Like I said, I respect my fellow board members, their opinions. I'm in agreement that there definitely needs renovation. However, I think since we have so many schools, we do need to prioritize what is important, what is a hazard, what is dangerous that can cause harm to our students, and move forward. If we can do it all, I wish we could just do it all. We've been asking for ACs. I think that is a priority because it gets super ridiculously hot in the summer. But there were some things that took precedence. So that's all that I just wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
I think that is what you just said is true. And I also looked at our vision for the academy. but I also believe we need to have balance. It's a beautiful building. I looked at it and I think that it will add great to our city. But on the other hand, as you just said, we have all these buildings. And I really think the time has come for us to really go through every school, as you just said, with a fine-tooth comb and figure out what is important, what need to get done. I would not like to see we spend all our reserve on a new building and neglect work need to be done on our existing building. I would prefer to take half of it and use it on the new building and the other half to improve our buildings. And even if we have to take a loan for the rest, we do it. But we can't have a beautiful building and then the other buildings, as you say, have holes in the wall. We're walking around buckets because the roof is leaking. You know, we can't, or as you say, some of the buildings are so hot, so we can't have kids in here for summer because it's so hot. We really need, we're going through climate change. There's a lot of stuff going on. And we want our students to keep up with the time. Our buildings have to do the same. Our buildings have to do the same, just like our students. We have to focus on everything. And we have to build and grow together.
And that's what we're here, Dr. Benhammer, to make those decisions. Because we're the Board of Education. We can make those decisions. And that's the reason why we're here, we're discussing this. Because I am convinced, I am going to be fictitious, but I am convinced that tomorrow morning, if I request a list of all the repairs that our schools will need, our director of maintenance will know it. And I'm being fictitious, because he is the one who has to keep control of our buildings. And he's the one who has to know what our buildings need. But I am telling you that I'm not confident that he might even know what is needed in a building. And I don't know if the process is broken. I don't know if there is a valid process in place. I don't even know if there is something that it may be not working correctly. But this is what we're here for, as a board members, to pay attention to the importance and the priorities of our schools. So, yes.
I have two questions for you. Well, not for you particularly, but maybe towards Mrs. Gaylord. I guess after the renovations or the building across the street is complete, wouldn't that prevent traffic occurring, or that would remain the same?
Ms. Gilliam, the plan to build the addition onto the academy was for student safety. So students didn't have to cross the street every 45 minutes. And we saw last month why we did it, because children actually got hit.
Yes.
And that's what we've been afraid of, and that's the only reason we were doing the renovation to the academy, because of the safety of the children. So don't build the building and let the children cross every 45 minutes and just say a prayer every 45 minutes that another child doesn't get hurt. Next time get killed.
Can I ask what relevance the academy has to the motion on the table to?
Oh, that has no relevance,
to hire an auditor. I don't understand what.
That was just my curiosity.
No, I know it wasn't your question. I don't understand how we got down this path of talking about.
Another question.
I'm being respectful to allow the board member, but thank you, Mr. Garcia.
It was answered. My next question is, in Building and Ground Security Report Committee, does not Mr. Miranda sit on that committee?
No.
Okay. Perhaps he should be invited.
We did invite him for the next meeting as a general here, so he will address us.
Thank you.
All right, with no more discussion, Madam Secretary, there is a motion on the floor for immediately request for proposals for an independent auditor to look at our finances for the last 5 years and tell what the status of finances in the Board of Education is. There is a second roll call.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Gargano?
Abstain.
Ms. Gilliam?
Yes.
Dr. Berghammer?
Yes.
Mr. Martucci?
No.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes. Thank you. We concluded that particular old business. Any other old business that any of our members may have?
I have another one that I want to discuss, and I know we're getting late, but again, in the last meeting, we had a lot of parents come up here and express they were very, very concerned about COVID. And I know that we have all these different schools, and there's a lot going on in all the schools. So if you don't mind, Dr. Hazelton, if you could give us a report on what's going on, what's happening in our district regarding our COVID response.
We presented a report on Tuesday, but I will update you.
Yes, I will. Yes.
I'll have to open up the website. We continue with the contact tracing. Our numbers are decreasing. This week, yesterday, or today's Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. On Tuesday, I spoke with the new supervisor of the Linden Health Department, and we are going to be meeting next week because, as you may or may not know, the CDC or the government has authorized vaccines for children between the ages of 5 and 11. So I will be meeting with the liaison from the Department of Health to strategize on setting up a vaccine clinic for that age group. As I mentioned at the start, our numbers are decreasing. On the website, we have a chart. I'll try to bring it up. And we send out a daily correspondence to all parents. A board member contacted me today, and I informed technology that all board members should be included in Blackboard Connect, so you will receive that notification as well. I know we have some parents on the board, so they may receive that information, and then there may be board members who do not. So that gives you a daily update on positive cases, students that have to quarantine, bless you. But as I said, our numbers are decreasing, and we expect that we're at the tail end of COVID, knock on wood, and once we're able to start vaccinating those children between the ages of 5 and 11, that should also give more people peace of mind as we enter into the winter months. And on Tuesday, Dr. Baldwin did share with the audience and the board our testing and vaccine database. The number of vaccinated employees, I believe, thank you, number of vaccinated employees is
83%.
83%. So as of October the 26th, new staff positive cases, 0. The number of staff quarantined, 1. Staff cases pending, 0. New student positive cases, 2. The total number of students quarantined, 97. And the number of students with pending cases, 0. And students quarantined, 97, does not mean they have COVID. It means that they were in contact with someone who tested positive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have another item to bring on, and I mentioned it on the last meeting that we were going to discuss this on this meeting. It's in regard to the attendance of the board members to the board meetings, to the responsibilities that we said we sworn in that we were going to fulfill. We understand this is a voluntarily task or assignment that each one of us engage into, but we need to show respect to the seat that we are representing. And last month, I made a reference of neither the secretary or this chair receiving information when a board member will be absent on a particular meeting. I need to make sure the board members understand that we need to respect the process of our roles and responsibility. Not necessarily reporting to anybody, but we need to respect the process. And I'd like to acknowledge, thank you, Ms. Dlm, for communicating with the secretary, with us, not only an email but phone, that you were not able to be here Tuesday. That shows how committed you are and how much you respect your position on this board. But we need to make sure that we understand that if we don't want to be here, we don't have to be here. And if we are committed with what we do, we need to show up to our meetings. Because there is nothing that we can do or decide if we don't know the whole aspect of our discussions. It is not easy just to come in on the day of the meeting to take 5 minutes of fame and try to say your views or your points of view without even knowing the discussion. And while I cannot change policies on the Board of Education that says if you are missing 3 minutes, you'll be out, I want to say that if you do not send a communications that you're going to be absent out of the meeting, regardless if you had a reason or not, that will be counted as a non-absence for you, because you need to communicate. It's not. This is not a game. The decision of many things that are important for our children and for our schools and for the district and for the city are made in these tables. So, ladies and gentlemen, although, like I said, I cannot change any policies, I want to make sure that everyone understands that we have a commitment to do, and we need to be respectful with the chair. So if anybody wants to comment on that particular item, you're welcome to.
I have a respectful question.
Yes, ma'am.
So that everyone's on the same page. Would your preference be, if a board member is going to be absent, that they email the board president?
The expectation is for the board member to communicate, either with the secretary of the board, who will communicate with the president chair so to be informed, or they can do it directly to me. But the expectation is to communicate.
Okay.
All right.
I do.
But, Mr. Rivas, some of the people that were not going to be there reported to the superintendent secretary, not to me.
Yes.
Thank
and that's
you.
why I want to be
so
clear.
in that case,
Yes.
let's make it clear.
Yes.
The communication will go to Dr. Baldwin or to this chair
Okay.
if they're going to be missing any meetings. Thank you for the clarification. I also,
Baldwin, her secretary.
Hey, Matt, you met me, right?
Dr. Hazelton.
Yes.
Dr. Hazelton, yes.
That's all right.
The next meeting that I have and that we discussed last year and that we said we're going to discuss it is the clarification on the televised meetings. That it was approved on July meeting, and I have Vice President Mr. De La Cruz. Vice President Mr. De La Cruz, I requested a copy of the resolution, and the resolution that it was given or that was shared with me was that we are going to reinstate the meetings, televised meetings, as they were before.
Yeah.
That's all what the resolution said. Is anything on this resolution that makes reference to comments? Is anything on this resolution that makes reference to work sessions? Is any of this resolution that was discussed on July, unfortunately it wasn't here, had to do with the schedule of these meetings, or what is our responsibility to send it to television or to cable?
It was just the way they were before with the public comment. And if the public comment did get out of hand, like I was told previous meetings, it got out of hand, and that's why they took public comment out. But we left it with public comment in, and right after we finished, the same way as it was before, whoever the information goes to televise, that's the way it went.
So,
nothing changed outside of that.
Dr. Hazelton of the district, can I get some information on what was the policy in regarding to meetings before? That is the confusion that I have. What was it before? What was the board was doing or was doing in order to televise the board meetings? Do we have any information regarding that?
I'll have to defer to Ms. Gaylor because I was not here when that happened.
And I was not here in July.
No, I mean,
I know.
you guys
Dr.
used to
Hazelton wasn't.
televise.
Based on the resolution, it said that you were going to go back to the meetings as they were before COVID. Before COVID, the meetings were videoed and televised on Channel 36. It was not with public comment. It was only the meeting. That was how it was done for ever since I've been here, 22 years.
I think the question, and correct me if I'm wrong, what is the process? Once we have a student here, thank you for coming, recording. Once that recording is complete, it is then forwarded to Channel 33?
Chris is in charge.
Okay, can you come to the podium, please? And just walk us through the process.
So normally after a meeting, like tomorrow, I'll upload this, I'll convert it to YouTube, I'll send the regular meeting to Kathy with everything, and the public comments do get taken out and they're emailed to Brad downtown, and through UTA, send the link. And as far as its airing time, I have no idea. I just copy him in an email. I copy, Kathy on there, a couple other people on there, and that's as far as I know. So I don't know times or anything when they're aired, or sometimes he responds back, thank you. Sometimes I don't hear from him, but that is the process that I do.
So my question, the time between the board's request to resume televising up to today, how many copies or how many board meetings have been sent to Brad?
Just last month, because that's when we resumed.
Okay.
So the last regular meeting was sent to Brad.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Gargano.
I just got a question about history. Just correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it used to be done through the school because the broadcasting used to be done in the academy building, right?
No.
Didn't they control it from there? Like, I'm talking about years ago.
No, they always taped it this way at the high school.
Okay.
And then they would tape it, they would send a copy of the whole meeting with the public comment to my secretary and myself, because she does the minutes, and they would take out the public comment and send it to the city.
Okay.
That went from IT to the city. It never came through us.
Okay.
Are the YouTube links added to the website? Is it possible for us to add them to the website? Would we have to?
No, I can follow it with.
That sounds like we could do that.
Yeah,
we get a link.
Technology
So the link.
You could just take the link, and same thing like anything that's uploaded to YouTube, put it to wherever you need it to be.
Do we have a contract with the cable channel or any type of?
The city does. The
city
has the contract with
So
the
the
cable.
city is the one that has the contract with them.
Yeah.
And
We
Brad
just
works
send
for the city?
We just send our tape to them, and they take care of it.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if you want, I could reach out to whoever the person from the city is to see what the delay is in getting them on the air. But I know a number of districts do put them on the website. I would just suggest that this time we be clear whether or not you're going to put them with comment or without comment.
And that is something that brought to discussion. Mr. De La Cruz, walk us through what was the impression that you had.
The
in
impression,
July?
okay, I did ask other board members, and I believe Mr. Gargano did answer. He said we did have the public comments at one point, but the public comments started attacking our board members, and that's why they took out public comments.
So, Mr. Gargano, was any resolution to be taking public comments by the board?
On the video?
On video, yeah?
No, that.
I was here in July, and there was definitely no discussion that we were going to exclude public comments. Whether or not that was.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter to me at all.
But we didn't discuss that in July.
Yeah, that wasn't discussed at all.
But just wanted to make sure, you mentioned, Mr. De La Cruz, that Mr. Gargano said that public comments were taking off because the public was attacking board members?
Yes, previously?
Yes.
Whenever this was televised, not currently, now.
No, I was talking about when, so it has nothing to do with anything being televised. That's when remember we didn't have public comments and we brought it back?
Yes.
There was a lot of political attacking going on from different political heads towards different people.
So that's why
that's when we removed that from the board meeting in a whole. Nothing to do with videotaping or anything like that.
I understand. So I wanted to make sure that if the public comments were removed from the video, which is something different.
They've never been on there from what I've seen.
But they've never been on there.
All right.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot continue to not have a clear resolution. Mr. De La Cruz, you made a motion last time to go back before, but we need to make clear. So may I recommend you to go back to your motion or withdraw your motion and make a new motion? We need to make sure that the public, the board members, and the district knows what does this board really want.
Ms. Gaylord.
Mr. De La Cruz, you have a policy on the order of business, and that is what was changed. That's what you have to change if you want to do that. We changed the order of business based on your request to add public comments before the meeting and after the meeting. That's what was done. Nothing, no public comments were ever sent to the city for viewing.
Okay, so that's,
Let me suggest this for you. Let me look at the policy as it's written now, right? And we can address this at the next meeting, because sometimes when you're changing policy, you have to do 2 readings. I just want to make sure that we're okay on that front. So let me look at the policy, and the next meeting, we can make a motion in a second to do whatever it is that the board wants to do with respect to the videotapes. In the meantime, if somebody gets me, I don't know Brad's last name, Brad's information from the city, I will call over there and see what the holdup is.
Please proceed to the...
Quinn.
yes.
Thank you.
We'll send it
I'll ask for
email
somebody over
to
here
you.
to email me.
Yes.
Thank you.
So another question, do you still, does the board still want the district to put the YouTube link on the website immediately or as soon as possible? Is that?
You can even upload it on Facebook probably too. I mean, if it's a YouTube link.
Well,
I think it's best to put it on your
So it
website.
looks like-
I don't know if that, I don't know what the policy says. I don't know if that,
Facebook
that
website.
violates the policy.
Yeah, it's right under the board.
So
then
wait
I think-
until the policy is reviewed, or,
Let me just look at the policy and then we can figure out.
so hold up
Yeah,
on
well,
that.
we'll do it at the next meeting. We'll
Let's move this action to the
Next meeting.
next meeting to be unfinished business. And the last thing that I have today is the fact that we learned that we're very close to the end of the year. We're very close to finish our calendar year. And within our first meeting in January, we set up the dates of the board meetings, especially because we understand that there's a lot of work to do during the months of November and December. This meeting today is on the 28th, so the next board member meeting, or work session, and committee meetings is less than 10 days or 12 days away. And while I am personally not a fan of having double meetings because they are tireful, I do believe that the district and ourselves, with many things that we're going to have for November, we're going to need some extra time to do that. On November, we're probably it's going to be, or it's expected to be our last meeting of the year. And I believe the district may have certain things that they want to have approved from December, because we're not going to have a meeting on December.
Yeah, one would be to authorize us to pay the bills.
It has been already.
Right.
It has been already. It was added.
On
it was
tonight's
added.
agenda.
So I'd like to propose changing the time of the meeting for next month. I know this may be difficult because many of us have already planned throughout the year for the meeting on November, but as everything, I like to motion to change the meeting for the November for a double session on the same day on Tuesday, November 23rd, starting at 6 p.m. I respectfully ask for a second.
What was the date on that?
The dates right now are work session on November 16, meeting on November 18.
Perfect.
I'd like to request a change to have both sessions on Tuesday, November 23rd.
All right, good.
So you're not going to meet on the 6th. If approved, you would not meet on the 16th and the 18th. You would have
No, it will be only on the 23rd.
one meeting on the 23rd.
One meeting on the 23rd.
I second.
Thank you.
23rd?
To the 23rd. So there is a motion with a second. It's open for discussion.
So
I cannot make it on the 18th because I have mandated training with Board of Ed. So I cannot make it. So 23rd is perfect for me.
Thank you for that discussion. Yes, Mr. Gargano.
I have blackout period that starts that week for my my career, so I would not be able to attend that week.
Okay. Any other discussions regarding the motion to change the
What
meeting?
time? 6 o'clock?
6
on that?
o'clock.
Okay.
Any other discussions regarding the motion on the floor? Where there is no more discussion, Madam Secretary, the motion on the floor is to change the Board of Education meeting for the month of November for November 23rd with a double session starting at 6 p.m. Motion on the floor being second. Roll call, please.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Ms. Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Gargano?
No.
Ms. Gilliam?
No.
Dr. Berghammer?
Yes.
Mr. Martucci?
No.
Ms. Thomas? Yes. Mr. Rivas?
Yes. What's the result of the motion?
Passes 5-3.
What is the result?
I think it passes 5-3, but I was waiting.
Oh, yeah, it passed.
Oh, it passed. I just want, okay. So for the information that somebody in the public said before, the meeting for November will take place on Tuesday, November 23rd, starting at 6 p.m. with a work session followed by the regular business meeting for the Board of Education. With no other new or old businesses, we're going to now proceed with the agenda with board member comments. And I would like to ask Ms. Gilliam to please present your comments this month.
I have a question. I don't know if this is possible, but with the first comment that you had made on renovations, I think I didn't really understand what we voted on.
Can you clarify your question? I couldn't hear you.
So was the vote based on renovating the schools, or was that specifically for?
We voted on getting a auditor to tell us the financial state of our board during the last 5 years to understand our financial status, to decide how much money can we find to do repairs for our school. So an auditor will be the one telling us what the financial status of our finances are.
So we would be hiring a new auditor.
An independent
instead
auditor, that is correct.
Oh, okay. And then we would have to do a bidding on that, correct?
That's what you approved tonight, is to seek proposals. So at the moment, you just sought proposals.
Yeah.
You could pick one, you could pick none. But for now, you just authorized the district to go out for proposals for an auditor.
Is it possible that I could amend my vote?
You could add,
I
think you.
What would be the legal aspect of that particular thing, Mr. Garcia?
Hold on a second. Do you have to vote tally? I mean, I'm trying to see if it even matters.
It's not going to matter.
It's not going to matter. Do you really want to go through the gymnastics of doing a new vote, or it's up to you?
I thought that the discussion.
You can ask for a revote. If there's a motion in a second, we can call a vote to allow for a revote. If that passes, then we can all revote. At the end of the day, if everybody votes the same except for you, it's still going to pass.
No, I'm perfectly fine with that. I would just prefer to change my vote because my interpretation was a little different than what I voted on.
Again, I try not to get too much into the semantics of Robert's Rules of Order, because at some point you're going to get tripped up somewhere along the line, and as long as everyone understands what they're doing and everyone has an opportunity to speak on it in an open public forum, it's going to be upheld. You can make a motion and ask for a revote or a vote for reconsideration, and if you get a second, we can call a vote on that.
Is that okay?
I don't know that you can just change your vote.
I just have one question, Counselor. In previous sessions, you mentioned that, and something happened with board member Ms. Fleming on a previous meeting when she wanted to change her vote, so she needed to make a motion to make a new.
Just to revote.
To revote.
Right.
And did they have to ask for the authorization of the person who made the motion or something like that?
We're not rescind. That was when we had already motion on the table and somebody wanted to rescind the motion. The easiest way to do it is to make a motion for revote. If you get a second, we'll call the vote. If you have 5 votes, we'll revote. If you don't, it'll stand the way it is.
That is, should we wait for you, Dr. Benhammer? We're going. I believe a motion is going to come on the floor, but we can wait.
Have to wait for Malaysia.
We can wait. Okay.
Ms. Thomas also.
Ms. Thomas isn't here.
Ms. Gilliam, this board is open for democracy, so I have no problem for you to make a motion. If it passes for a revote, we will revote.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm just looking up Robert's rules as we speak right now. So there are two ways, just going forward so we know this, right? There are two ways to change your vote, right? You can change it up until the time the chair announces the result, right? That already happened, so that's too late. A member may also change their vote after the chair announces the results by unanimous consent of the body, right? So that means if everybody here consents to allow her to change her vote, we don't have to go through a motion in a second for revote.
Okay. Let's wait for the board members to see if we can make that happen.
By the way, I wasn't blaming you before for us getting off track on the academy, but that's exactly why I didn't want to get off track on the other stuff.
It's okay.
Because we forget what the initial motion and second was.
Thank you.
No. All right, Chair. So if you ask, if anyone has an objection to Ms. Gilliam changing her vote, if everyone is silent, then we can allow her to change her vote.
Members of the board, it has been presented to us by board member Gillian requesting to change her vote on the previous motion regarding looking for proposals for an independent auditor to look at the finances. If we all consensually agree for her to change her vote, she can change her vote. If there's any objections.
This is a democracy. So I think that if you want to change your vote, you should have that right.
There's no objections to your...
Does anyone have an objection to Ms. Gilliam changing their vote? If you do, please speak now.
Okay.
No
No objection. Ms. Gillian, please change your vote.
Thank you, guys. I would like to vote no, please.
Thank you.
Thank
Please,
you.
Madam Secretary, record Ms. Gillian.
So noted, Mr. Rivas.
Thank you. Ms. Gillian, your comments.
Thank you so much.
It still passes 5-2-1?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to congratulate all of our appointments. We have a teacher shortage all across the country, so it's nice to see you all joining our team. Wishing you nothing but the best of luck. I want to thank our principals for their dedication to the district and staff. I want to thank everyone that made it possible to create the video. I would also like to congratulate Mr. Miller on his being acknowledged on his achievements and receiving the awards. I would like to congratulate Ryan and Guerrero and Christina Amato, who were chosen as Linden High School Homecoming King and Queen. It was really nice to be there. Congratulations to our girls soccer team on their big win over Elizabeth. I want to thank our tech support for updating our website and being here with us and working to help our students and staff. We really appreciate you. Thank you to the Linden High School girls volleyball team for honoring our breast cancer survivors. That was extremely kind of you. I also want to thank Mr. Ali for supporting the two Haitian brothers at school number 1. Haitian immigrants have been treated so poorly lately, and so many negative things has been said about us. So thank you first for seeing these two young men. I really appreciate that they're getting the guidance that they need. Lastly, I would like to say that we represent children. Our first priority are them. When we lose that as our main focus, we lose our mission, our vision, and most importantly, them. So I kindly, respectfully ask to make sure that we are all doing what's right. Putting students' health, safety, and education are essential for student success. So please remember children first always. So with that being said, thank you to our hero, Miss Torrelio. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And lastly, concluding, I would like to wish you all a safe and happy Halloween. Please be mindful and safe while trick-or-treating and have fun. Thank you, and that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Gilliam. Mr. Martucci. Nothing. Thank you. Mr. Gargano.
Being as though I guess this is my last meeting as a board member, since we just changed the last meeting 10 minutes ago when I clearly said I most likely will not be able to be here. That's me telling you I'm not going to be able to be here. I'd like to thank the entire staff of Linden Public Schools. I want to thank all the administrators, all the teachers, everything you do for our kids in our community. And I hope that going forward, everybody just tries to do what's best for the students. Remember that our staff, our administrators, are the ones who are here to help our students, to try to treat them with respect and support them to help our students moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Benghammer.
Question. We're not having a December meeting?
No.
No. Oh.
Dr. Benghammer.
I'm here to report to the people of Linden, who we must always remember we are all here because they voted for all board members. We are here to advocate for you. We plan to be transparent as we serve you. Our commitment to support and encourage every student, parent, teacher, and administrator. As we continue to grow and learn, we intend to pay attention to how the COVID is being handled citywide. We intend to pay close attention to student learning and development. We also are concerned with how our school, our students, and their test scores improve. We want to watch how money is being spent to protect taxpayers and to not have our tax dollar be spent on the wrong things. Parents, I am honored to be your servant. I want you to know I am here for you. I'm here for your children. I'm also here for the parents, for the teachers and administrators. But I thank you for your support and your belief in us that we are here to represent. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Benghammer. Ms. Fleming.
I just would like to thank everybody who came tonight. I always like to thank you for taking the time to come out. Everybody's busy, so I appreciate and respect your time and attention to the board meetings. I would like to say happy Principals Appreciation Month. We have a lot of great principals, and Ms. Horry, I would like to thank you personally for coming here and leaving your duties somewhere else to come here and answer questions for us. We appreciate that. We just want to do what we can do. We only have minimum 36 meetings. We're voted in for 3 years. 36 votes to make something change for the better. If you ask anyone what they would want to change, it's not difficult. Everybody here wants the same thing. Humans are just different. We're all different, and we get there different ways, but we all want the same thing. So we all want the schools to be sparkling and not dangerous. We all want those things. And we know the books are great, and we know Ms. Gaylord does a great job, and we believe in all of the administration, but that doesn't mean that it's not our duty obligation to say, I trust, but verify. That is our duty to do that. And I would ask, I got way off my notes. I would ask that each principal, I don't know what you're doing right now, but I would ask that each principal send somebody, delegate it, to go down your hallways, write a list of work orders, and they should be stacked in, put in a binder, And they should be given, I know you're going to have additions all the time. I do work orders. So this is why I would say, have a list, even if it's on the computer. Forget chopping down trees, save paper. Put it on the computer. And when it is taken care of, you should mark it off and what day. That way you have a running tab on what's important, what needs to be done, what do we need to do and prioritize to protect our children and yourself and your staff. So I don't want to take too long. And I know I got off. I just want to say I really do appreciate the principals of our school, vice principals, everybody, but it's not their day. So happy Principals Appreciation Month. Thank you for the parents who walk down your schools, because safety is not just the job. I know we talked a lot about the maintenance supervisor or maintenance staff, but safety is not just the job of maintenance. Safety is the job of every single person. If you have a child at school and you walk through the hallways and you go visit the principal, hopefully you're not, but if you do and you see something, you should say something. It is the job of each and every one of us. We all hold this responsibility, not just one person or a group, a division of people. So we work on it, we make it better. We see a problem, we make it better. We are not trying to chastise the maintenance division or the administration division or anybody. We're all grateful, and it takes us all, takes the village, right? So, okay, I'm going back to my notes. Ashley, Trinity, Abigail, congratulations. Good job. And Gary Miller, I want to say congratulations. I just have congratulations to all of these people. So congratulations, Gary Miller. Good job. And to thank you to Valerie Terriella, the hero, the shero of the schools today. Thank you for, I don't know if you're still here or not, but thank you for your service in protecting our children. Thank you for joining us, the visitors, James Horn, I believe that was his name. And I just want to say thank you to everybody here, and thank you for always waiting for us to finish. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fleming. Ms. Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. I will keep this very short. I'd like to shout out all of the principals. I know this is your month, but we appreciate you every day. So thank you for all that you do and working with your staff to make the best school for our students and yourselves. I congratulate all of our athletes, Mr. Miller, Mrs. Terriello. Once again, thank you for your bravery. And for the United Way for partnering with our district, helping to strengthen our families and students. It's so important. Thank you to everyone who came out to this meeting and just hanging in there and voicing your comments and concerns. It's truly appreciated. Nothing ever falls on deaf ears. So if you do have any questions or concerns or just want to reach out, our email addresses are on the site. Thank you to our board and Patrick for this to be your last meeting. It was great working with you. And everyone, please have a safe Halloween. Please be careful. Parents, please monitor your children. Look at their candy as well. Let's just be very safe in how we move forward. Everyone have a safe and blessed weekend, and we'll see you all again in November. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Mr. De La Cruz.
First, I want to congratulate the students that received a scholarship for the Mandarin Chinese. That must be a hard language to learn.
Definitely.
Congratulations. Congrats to Mr. Gary Miller. Congrats to our soccer team, 15-1. Ms. Horry, congratulations to the school. Hopefully tomorrow you give them a big shout out from the board. Okay, at least me, because I can't speak for everybody else, but I believe they thanked you. Well, congratulate you also. And thank our principals not only our principals. I know we have teacher appreciation and everything, but we got to thank our staff and administration. There's a lot of work that gets done month after month that we might not see, and the teachers that are dedicated to be out there every day and give their time, and sometimes they go extra and above and beyond, and we don't see it, but we appreciate it. Thank you. And I see it because I was in school 6 also. When I was part of PTA, there was teachers that stood up and were out there with us all the time. So thank you for your, oh boy. Thank you for your support. That's what I want to say. And thank you, United Way, also for teaming up with Linden. That is something nice to see and move forward. Also, I was working in the school with Dr. Hazelton. That day I met our student that translated for the 2 Haitian students. And that was nice to see how the student just stepped up. And that's what a true leader is. They step up out of the blue. And that student, hopefully, in the future, is a leader. And he's the one filling our shoes here. Okay? Also, what did I... guys, it's been, once again, and I'll say it, everybody is different. We're all human. We make mistakes. It's our nature to agree to disagree, and we will continue moving forward. When we make a mistake as a human, we learn from the mistake and we move forward. I always say, if it was when we were born and when we first learned how to take our steps, if we took the first step and we fell and we gave up after that first step, we'd all be crawling right now. But none of us gave up on walking, and a lot of us are still walking. So that's lessons learned. You move on, and thank you. Thank you for being out here with us tonight again. Have a great night, and have a happy, safe Halloween.
Thank you, Mrs. De La Cruz. As I always said, it's very hard for me to follow up or continue with the comments at the end of the meeting. All my colleague board members have said it all. We feel proud of our teachers. We feel proud of our hero. We feel proud of our students. We feel proud of our administration. I do have to agree with our board member, Ms. Fleming. We trust, but our job is to verify. And I'm going to assure you that through other conversations that I have with many of my colleague board members, we're here to make a change. And we're here to make sure that our decisions are towards the benefit of our children, our students, and the benefit of our district. We cannot forget that when we were children, we felt proud of the schools, of the areas, of our teachers, of the years that we spent in school. We spent a lot of years in school. But I feel that if I'm not proud being on a premises where I cannot really be content, I'm not going to learn, and the teachers probably are not going to have the environment that they need in order to teach. So, yes, perhaps it may be for some citizens about time. Somebody said about time, somebody's paying attention, but we have gone through rough times. No one was prepared for COVID last year. No one was prepared for the changes that are happening right now. It feels like we're back to normal, but we're not, ladies and gentlemen. So I ask you to please look out for your health, for your safety out there, and make no mistake about it. We all have different opinions. We may all have things to agree and disagree. And you, the citizens, the people who can watch us on TV, our children, our parents, you are the ones who makes the conclusions of who is here really committed to work for our schools and who may not necessarily be committed. And with that, I would like to thank you all. Always remind you that we're here for you. I am proud to be serving you, as Dr. Benhammer said, and thank you for always being supporting us. I'd like to motion to adjourn the meeting.
A second.
The question.
There is a motion on the floor with a second. Any discussion about the motion to adjourn in the meeting?
Well, I have a question.
Is regarding the motion?
To end? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't want to end right now. Is that okay?
Okay. What is your
I just
concern about the
wanted to
motion?
say, first of all, I appreciate you guys all not objecting to my vote. Totally appreciate that. However, we had a board member which didn't know that it was going to be his last meeting in November since we're not having a December meeting. And I feel like we're not trying our best to accommodate his absence. And none of us said anything about him being a board member for the past couple of years that he served for the district. So I'm not.
It was a pleasure working
sure.
with him.
Sorry?
I acknowledged Patrick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me,
It's
Malaysia.
all good. We can end the meeting.
Oh, you don't? Okay, sorry. So I'm sorry.
Well, thank you for your comments. And again, the motion on the floor, it's not that we do not recognize Mr. Hernando, but there's still things that can change, that he can still be in November meeting. So I don't want to give him a goodbye when we still have a chance to be with us.
problem.
So there's no more discussion. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Was there a second?
Yes, it was a second by Dr. Benhammer.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Gargano?
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam?
Yes.
Dr. Berghammer?
Yes.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Meeting has been adjourned.
This is the